I already noticed that part. I mean that attack, it was incredibly unfair. What did you expect after shooting at those red barrels? Everyone knows that red barrels always explode if you attack them. If it's that obvious, then why do the enemies always walk near them at every opportunity? That's a mystery that will never be solved, Luce. We deal with all the other bosses one by one without too much of a hassle until we reach the last level. From here on out, all of the different areas become narrow and full of enemies. We're all showing signs of fatigue, and we'll have to improve our focus if we want to put on a good show. Then there's a moment where our characters split up into two groups and take different paths, so what Deniz and Ziva see on their screen is different from what Luce and I see on ours. This would be a good opportunity to get some extra points over those two, if it wasn't for the fact that even though our paths are different, we're still fighting in the same place against the same enemies. That, however, gives me an idea. His outstretched arm gives him away. Even if Deniz is the player farthest away from me, from the corner of my eye, I can see the movements of his arm going right and left depending on where the enemies come from. Thanks to my memories of this game, I start counting all of the enemies that appear without having to look away from Deniz's arm. It's then that I see it, the enemy that appears on my screen, but because he's behind some boxes on the left, he's hidden from the players using the other screen. He's coming directly at me, and it won't be long before they can see him too. I could shoot it and get some points, but I have another idea. I switch weapons and equip the shotgun while I look at Deniz's arm sideways. He goes up, then down, then left, and finally right. I try not to shoot until the second his gun stops moving, the very moment I see the signal that he's about to shoot, and then... I fire at the enemy's chest, pushing him back at the very moment he appears on the other screen, forcing Deniz to miss his shot by the skin of his teeth. There goes my combo. You got me there. Now this is a game for two. I wish you luck, but that doesn't mean we won't keep rocking anyways, right, Luce? The entire group is amazed. They don't understand that it was me who forced Deniz to miss, except for one person, the last opponent I have left to defeat. Ziva chuckles as she realizes that this game has just become a battle between she and I. The pressure from the last part of the game doesn't hinder us as our scores continue increasing. On the contrary, it motivates us to be the best we can. And extend past our limits. When we finally reach the final boss, it seems like it's impossible to stop us, and our only fear is the probable tied scores we're going to get unless something changes. Right before the coup de grace, I think, if I'm saying that correctly, that inconceivable change actually happens.
I'm sorry, Indy.
Her voice is natural and calm. She takes a second and inhales deeply before shooting one last time. It's not the coup de grace of finishing the great evil final boss, but another character. Mine. Dun dun dun.
Screen goes red.
My screen flashes red for half a second, but the color stitches in my mind for what seems to be an eternity. It's the signal that I've lost a life, that I've been hit and lost my combo, the signal that I lost my chance at a perfect game at the very moment that I was about to finally put an end to this game. The credits roll and everyone but Ziva looks at the final video of perplexity. She in fact is covering her stomach while trying to contain her laughter the best that she can.
What did you think of that? It's a small trick you can do right before the ending. A glitch where you can KO one of the players. Pretty cool, huh?
I'm livid. I stare at Ziva despite the fact that she's trying to evade my eye contact. Wait, does that mean that you won and Ciar is in second place? Wasn't that impossible anyways? I can't believe that you cheated right before the end of the game, Ziva.
It wasn't so much cheating as it was a great prank.
And only a moment ago I didn't believe that you could do something like that to Ciar. It's great, don't get me wrong, but it was unexpected, girl.
Come on, whether or not I got a perfect game isn't important. For me, success comes from us having played it together. The rest are minute details. Also, not everything is how it seems, so don't speak so prematurely.
Ziva gestures to her left with a head movement. We redirect our attention back to the screens where the credits are finally coming to an end. And once they're done, the leaderboard and point scores appear, showing that I'm the winner and have the first position.
What you saw was a graphical error. It might have seemed like I shot you, but I didn't actually. In fact, the only one that lost points there was me for shooting a player character. I could never betray you, Andy. You know that, right?
I don't know, you're shifty, a little backstabbing and psychological. Her hands intertwine behind her while she puts on a wide smile, surrounded by a silence created by the two of us. Everyone around us laughs or gets surprised, and nobody can believe what had happened. Ziva was just teasing me. A small prank, a childish game that everyone treats as such. Except me. I throw a really strong punch to the arcade machine's side with my fist, managing to make it stagger a little despite its size. The whispers stop. Everyone feels intimidated and somehow scared when they witness a side of me that they've never seen before, or that's how it appears. My demeanor changes after a few seconds.
Is it gonna have a temper tantrum?
I hope not. That really hurt. I cover my hand and wince in pain. What are you staring at? I nearly broke my hand. I'm a sore loser, so I had to vent it somehow. I really believed that I'd lost for a second, you know. I think I may even be bleeding. Am I stupid or what? I'll go to the bathroom and rinse it with water or something. Be right back. They ask if I'm alright, but I insist that it's nothing, and my attitude was just the work of my bad temper and competitiveness wreaking havoc. I promise them that I'll return in a couple of minutes, rejecting the kind offers of those that wish to accompany me. And while I walk away, I wonder if they believed any of those excuses, because I sure didn't. Okay, we're out of the arcade. I was wondering how long we were going to be in that scene. After coming out of the bathroom, I sit down on one of the benches in the shopping mall, watching people pass by. I don't have any actual interest in returning to the gloomy arcade. The skylights on the high ceiling shine down upon people as if they're stars on a concrete firmament, except for the pale skin of a girl who's always shielded under her hat and is able to follow me till the end of the world.
The minute he said pale skin, I knew who he was talking about. How are you, Ciar?
Good, thanks for your concern. My dry answer cuts off any possible dialogue despite being entirely unintentional, so I tried to break the ice with a joyful tone. Although I don't know why you asked, didn't you say before that you can read me like an open book and that I can't deceive you?
I was trying to be polite. I'm a bona fide lady after all. I'm surprised that you haven't realized that yet.
Which part of you is bona fide? You're good at hiding it.
Boo. If you act like that, then I'll leave.
Maybe you should.
Boo.
I meant maybe you should leave, not say boo again. I chuckle and make some space on the bench so Claire can sit next to me. She does so, and after clearing her throat, she keeps talking and trying to sound more adult than her appearance would lead you to believe.
While we're at it, I'm going to show you what I meant when I said that you can't hide anything from me, because I never lie, and I'm tired of you always taking me so lightly.
I think it's because of your appearance. It's either that or your personality.
For starters, right now you aren't worried about yourself, or what the others may be thinking about your sudden mood swing. You're only worried about Ziva.
I dedicate a sideways glance, yet sharp glare, to Claire, but she ignores it and keeps picking my brain apart.
There's something that has changed, feelings that you didn't take seriously before now. To be precise, Ziva's feelings for you. You don't know what those feelings mean or what they'll bring, since you two have completely different views of what makes up a perfect world, what everything entails.
I can't get used to this. It must be a joke when the crazy, innocent, and absent-minded girl suddenly becomes this serious and hits me straight in the gut with her painful honesty. I defensively fold my arms in, frowning a little and trying to bring down the immovable, mysterious wall that surrounds her, despite my past records of failure. And what about you, Claire? Are you okay with all of this?
Probably not. Oh, yeah, you're right. I can't stay quiet about it. But you should understand that there's no love without empathy, which in turn is the first step for sacrifice. Being able to give and reject anything for that special someone is also one of the rules of love, no matter how unfair it may seem. I just had to take her out.
Curiously, Ziva said the same thing not too long ago.
I wasn't trying to say anything you didn't already know. I was just reading your thoughts after all, wasn't I?
And you aren't worried about what you saw? I don't just mean my worries about Ziva, but about how I might feel about her. How do you feel about these ladies?
Of course, but there's nothing I can do.
I don't know. What could she do? She
can't do anything. If he loves her, like if he has those feelings, he can't do anything to change them.
I guess, unless she throws herself at him.
Unless I take her out. Because I'll never be able to understand what even you don't.
I quickly tap against the floor with one of my feet, even more bewildered than when I'd originally started this conversation. He better figure something out. However, Luce is the one who, as nosy as always, appears during the middle of our dialogue, relieving me of my sudden extreme discomfort.
Yeah, and you better not try to take them both out.
Hey, here you are, schmuck. We were starting to think that you'd left without saying anything again. What are you two doing here? Next time, you should bring him back even if you have to drag him, Claire.
I'm sorry, we were talking. I lost track of time.
My fault. Were you guys worried back there or what? Not in the slightest. We were just surprised by how you acted, but we're all human after all. Ziva was actually the first one to forget about it. Now she's beating everybody's butts at pool. Sometimes I think we should have that woman beatified. Beatified?
Yeah.
In my case, I was bad-mouthing you this entire time instead.
What, they shall start beating her with sticks?
You're telling me that so casually? Don't exaggerate it. It's just that you're just a nasty piece of work.
Oh.
Ouch. I'm being serious, though. Do you remember, for example, when the other day during the committee meeting she took Claire and I out with her? I thought she wanted to tell us something privately, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. She looked at me for a couple seconds with those big eyes of hers and thanked me, that's all. And, I thought it was really weird at first. It really seemed like she was speaking from her heart. All that for helping her with the committee and bringing lazy Denise there for once. I wanted to believe that it meant more, but I guess she's just like that. She has this... I can't read. She has this thing where she's more worried about the group than herself. Don't ask me why it's like this, but it's part of her. I dare say that she takes it farther when it comes to you, Ciar. That's why I said those things earlier. The only weird person here is you, running away from everything like you're as good as Houdini. You should tell Ziva what's bothering you. There's nothing bothering me. Why do you think that I didn't mind when you left the party without saying anything first? I can't be the only one realizing this, right, Claire?
I have a pretty good idea of what you're saying.
I'm still curious if he'll choose any of them. I'm still curious about that. It's like, are you going to choose someone? You're going to leave them hanging? Then you've also reached the same conclusion. I knew it wasn't just my imagination. What are you ladies even talking about? Running away from the basketball match, hurriedly leaving the committee, leaving your own birthday party, and I've even heard that from time to time you've played hooky when given the opportunity. I thought that was just part of his character. He'd play hooky at school, like, I don't want to be here. Goodbye. I wasn't born yesterday, you know. I asked around and found out that you know how to swim, and even if you didn't, I couldn't accept that someone could drown in a private pool as if they were a ton of bricks. Everything made sense when I saw you in that Speedo. Really? That's when it made sense? I'm talking about that scar you have on your leg. Oh, okay, good. I'm talking about that scar you have on your leg. That's the real reason that you can't swim. If there's one thing that I've learned about you up till now, it's how prideful you are. You don't want to tell anyone what kind of accident you got in to get that injury, but it's obvious that it wasn't anything normal.